Okay, let's go. Right. Okay. If you know me, you know I'm gonna have a PowerPoint. Okay. So, oh yeah, just so you guys know, I want this to be interactive. Okay. You're not just gonna be sitting there, you know, not doing anything. Okay. I want this to be interactive. So have somewhere you can make some notes. So it can be the notes on your iPhone or it can be pen and paper. I love pen and paper, but whatever you have, yeah, get ready that I'm going to ask some questions as well. And I do recommend let us, you know, that answering those questions is going to be really helpful, because also what we're going to do is we're going to kind of like play around with some emotional stuff as well and see, you know, because when we're looking at like what's preventing us from actually being, you know, the really, really magnified, amazing, juicy, abundant version of ourselves, emotions is a big part of it. So feeling a few emotions over the next few days is going to be really useful for you to help to understand this process. Okay, so we're going to do a few things. We're going to almost like play a few games with some emotions and see how that goes. So given that I told you, right, I've been feeling a bit sleepy, the the PowerPoint is very helpful. Okay, so your juicy and abundant superpower. Okay, and this is all about you being the most authentic version of yourself, all based on self-love. There's no kind of mind games, manipulation, nothing inauthentic here. And I literally think there's nothing better in the world than just being really authentic. Oh, sorry, what did I do there? I'm gonna have to come out of here quickly and pin I unpinned me. Sorry, guys. Hey everybody. Oh, if you're on Facebook and you're watching, because I know I've streamed to the group, but it's going to be a lot more fun for you if you come and join me in on Zoom. So I'm going to just put that link right now into where I'm going live in the group. Here I see myself. Oh, here I see myself. Oh, okay, all right, there you go in the group. You got the link now. Okay, sorry everybody. Let's start again here. And I'll try not to press any funny buttons or sabotage anything this time. Okay, all right. So yes, you're juicy and abundant superpower. This is all stuff that's locked inside you, that basically we're going to be looking at how the programming of our society has actually taught us all not to step into these authentic, amazing powers we have, and actually the amount of harm and damage it's causing, that we aren't all in our power. So, oh, this is weird. Okay. Sorry about that. You are the resource. It's you, it's your body, your soul, and energy that you should be honoring and caring for above all else. And this is a really scary thing for like so many people to do, to actually really, really just prioritize themselves. This is the key to becoming the fulfilled, content, abundant, and juicy version of you, living in soul-aligned contentment that is your birthright. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the Grandmaster Mantak Chia, he teaches us one of these exercises. He teaches us smile to our heart and to grow this love energy within our hearts. And he actually says, don't even bother trying to give love to other people. And everyone's going to be like, oh my God, she's talking about being selfish and hateful. Actually, what he says is, grow the love in your heart. Once you got enough love in your heart, it's going to fill your whole body. And once it's filled your whole body, it will just spread out into your aura. And then it's going to be showering down effortlessly onto other people. So when we're doing all this contrived trying to give to people, and often we're actually like manipulating people, or we're doing stuff to make ourselves feel good and make ourselves feel self-righteous and so on. And it's not great, but when the love is naturally and effortlessly flowing, that's the state of flow that we want to be in. And that's what we're talking about here. When we get everything into balance within ourselves, how it just effortlessly flows around. onto other people. And if you followed me on social media, on Facebook, you probably saw me writing about this the other day. You know, you've probably heard my story. I'm going to share some of my client stories as well, because this stuff is real. It's not just a theory, you know, I made up, and it's all based, by the way, on this ancient tradition from China that's thousands of years old. So yeah. And this is what we want. And this is the key to becoming the fulfilled, content, abundant, and juicy version of you, living in soul-aligned contentment. That is your birthright. Because we can make a lot of money and still feel crap, yeah? You know, everyone says this, it's true, yeah? But I never heard of like abject poverty buying anybody happiness as well. So having the correct balance of abundance around us, and that's going to be unique for each individual. And some people may have experienced real poverty in this lifetime or past lifetime, and it might be their destiny to, you know, accumulate more abundance and wealth around them. Some people may feel content with less. It's got to be what feels right to us, you know. And that's what's so important. It's not a one size fits all solution in terms of we should all be these little cardboard cutouts, but this is about us finding each as individuals what's right for us. So, oh, this is weird. Okay. My promise, I'm making a promise to you. Okay. The next 3 days will be an interactive experience where you can learn about the ancient energy hacking and orgasmic secrets that I've put into practice in my life and work to create the abundant and juicy life I and my clients deserve. I even recommend tomorrow bring some paper and coloring pens if you can. Each day, I will reveal one secret that will fit together like pieces of a puzzle to give you on Friday the blueprint to activating your orgasmic energy to make 2024 the year you always dreamed of. And if you know me, of course, you're going to know it all comes down to orgasmic energy in the end, whatever I'm talking about, because that's what created us and that's our source energy. So this is a chance for you to open your mind and let your consciousness expand by digesting another culture's views on something we think we know it all about, but in fact, we know very little about. And this is one thing, like Western sense of superiority, cultural superiority, thinking we know it all. And it really, really gets in our way, truth be told. So the practices that I will be describing are high-level practices. It takes mindset, vision, and focus to implement them. So in a sense, they are anything that anybody can do. You don't have to be a genius, you know, you just have to work at it. But I do think to have the mindset to actually sit down and work on it, it does take a certain, I think that it's intention from our parts, because when we want to get to a certain place, there's all these different elements, right? If we have a lot of intention and willpower, that's really, really great. But we can end up battling and exhausting ourselves and so on if we don't have the flow element as well. So once you do, the results will blow your mind and go beyond your wildest dreams. So this is my first secret. And by the way, none of these secrets are actually secrets anyways, but everything I'm talking about is true and it's false. And everything in the universe is both true and false at the same time as well. And that's the irony of quantum physics. So your original programming is a juicy and abundant being that is here to fulfill your divine purpose. I'm going to explain exactly how that works in terms of emotions shortly, but all you need to do is transcend your ego to meet the universe halfway. And I was just having this like moment of reflection, like one of my coaches really sort of brought me, I think last week or whatever, into just really looking back on this year and everything, you know, I've experienced and everything I've moved through all the work I've done. And, you know, people like to say, oh, I thank this person and that person. And of course, there's like a lot of people to thank in our lives. But ultimately, I think, first of all, we need to thank ourselves for the effort we've made to bring ourselves where we go, but also at the same time, and I know I've made the effort so many times just on faith, and in trust and knowing, and the universe has come. It's given me the solution. It's met me halfway. And it's like, you know, when they say in all these different religions, like the Bible, have faith. And as a kid, I was like, have faith? What are you talking about? Yeah. But when you start experiencing, and it's not like, you know, people say have faith in a higher power. It's not even that, you know, there's some angry guy up in the clouds, you know, wanting to trip us up or something like that. It's literally have faith in yourself, believe in yourself, believe that you are here for a reason and that you are perfect, you know, and that what you desire is perfect. And this is what we're going to be looking into today. So, oh, sorry, what's happening? Okay. Who am I? I think you know me already. Just to let you know, I did study with the Taoist Grand Master Mantak Chia, and I have his certification to teach what I'm teaching. Although most of what I'm talking about, you're not going to find being taught by him or other instructors, but that's the beauty of it, because I've studied with a lot of other instructors who trained under Master Chia, and everybody has their beautiful little way of teaching things. You know, some people are very strict, you know, Taoist, nerdy about it. There was another guy I was learning with who was he kind of was taking like this druidism and paganism and sort of mixing it together with Taoism and taking us to these like stone circles and standing us on, you know, the edge of these cliffs. And it was almost like if you went on a retreat with him and there wasn't at least 2 or 3 moments where you're like, I'm gonna die, it was like not a proper retreat, you know. But I think we all work with certain people, and we develop our practices according to our own lifestyle and according to the people we work with. And you know, I got into this stuff because basically, you know, I was going through life, I was diagnosed with chronic post-traumatic stress, I was having terrible fatigue, I wasn't sleeping properly, I was addicted to cannabis to get to sleep, I was having chronic back pain, I was sick all the time, I was definitely not doing my soul aligned job. You know, doctor would have said I'm okay, yeah, but I knew I wasn't okay. And I was trying, you know, and I was spending a lot of money doing all these alternative medicines, trying this to address my back pain, to address my insomnia, anxiety, so on and so forth, right? And I was never really getting more than like 10 or 20% of actually what the results I could have been getting were, until I was like, you know what? I've like never had an orgasm. I'm sick of this. I'm trying everything. Nothing is working. Nothing is going to work. And I want to have an orgasm, you know. And I tried the conventional people to talk to and not got much results, not got much help, until I just came across Taoism, you know, which is an ancient science of orgasm in many kinds of ways, you know. And I was just like, you know, people would say, oh, that's so like selfish and, you know, small-minded of her that she just wants this orgasm, right? You know, but I wanted it, and I was being drawn towards it. And I start doing these exercises. One of the first things that happened was I started sleeping properly. My anxiety started going away. I never ever have used cannabis again since that time, and I was really addicted to it as well. You know, I just had to smoke it every night to get to sleep. It was like that kind of addiction. And then I started having multiple orgasms, you know, and I never even knew that such a thing as a multiple orgasm existed, actually, you know. But through this whole process, it was like something awoke inside me that put me on the track to my destiny. And before, I'd always felt like a bit lost in the world. And, you know, it was that was the major breakthrough that really, really changed my life. And, you know, I remember there was one point I was seeing these different kinds of psychotherapists and psychologists. And I remember seeing this like really bigwig psychologist who was just telling me, like, you know, that I was pretty much a hopeless case and everything, you know, that I wasn't going to, you know, get anywhere in life. And I was just going to be, you know, struggling with this anxiety because of my childhood experiences and so on. And, you know, at that point, I would have, the idea of sitting here and talking to all you guys would have terrified me. But it's possible to heal, you know, it's possible to move beyond healing. And that's what's really important. That's what I want to actually talk about today as well, like moving beyond the healing. So this is me with the Master Chia. And okay, this is not so relevant today, but over the days, I do just want you to understand we are working with really powerful energies that we do need to respect. And many people make the mistake with Taoist practices that they'll just take one, you know, out of a book, or they'll use them without a teacher. It's definitely not recommended to do this stuff without a teacher, because it can really cause problems, actually, because it's really powerful. And if it's so powerful it can heal us, of course it can also cause problems. So And then also just to mention, everything I'm talking about here, it's all work that it's all related on work that I do with my clients. So if you are interested in working with me, I would like to share you a link so that you can book a chat with me. I would also like to say, if you're kind of curious, but you're not ready to talk about working with me, that's absolutely fine as well. I do have some resources I can hand out to you to find out more. I also offer like free 10-minute consultations. These are not, so I'll give you the details of that as well. This is not any consultation in which I would tell you about my work or try to sell you anything, even if you asked me to. But it's just to go over like basically what are the blockages that are getting in the way of where you are, to kind of give you a little bit of a vision into the future. So people who've had these calls and they've never gone on to work with me have still said they found them really, really helpful and life-changing. So, okay. Okay, we talked about the ego a moment ago. Yeah, so let's get back into this. How is your ego getting in the way? So most people think of the ego as an arrogant or domineering, and the ego is like an overbearing parent, but to us. So the most egotistical people are often really sweet and lovely, and they're spiritual as well, but they're quite limited and they're self-judging. So, it's not to say that someone being arrogant can't be egotistical as well, but I think we should really be aware that when we can be really lovely and really sweet and so nice, but it's not authentic. And if we're living in this persona that's maybe just a slight little bit off of who is our real self, it's going to mess up everything that's going on in our lives. And this is actually the source of all sickness. So even if you're really nice, if that's not genuine, it's going to cause problems. Being in the ego stops us from being our authentic self, because the ego believes it's protecting us, usually by making us be this nice person and like people pleaser. And, it's a social construct from a society that believes we are fundamentally flawed and that we shouldn't be being ourselves, and I think we can all say we can do this. Yeah, we can all do it. And it's not that being a bit in your ego sometimes, it's okay. It's fine. It's normal. It's natural. But in too many people, the ego takes over and it takes control. And what does it do? It limits us. It's like an overbearing parent that, you're 25 years old and they don't want you going out after 7 p.m. or something. So if you believe that, by the way, if you believe you are fundamentally flawed and you're not willing to open your mind to a different perspective, I suggest to leave the call now, because this is very much based on the whole idea that you are absolutely perfect and divine exactly the way that you are, and that your blueprint, your personality, who you are in your most authentic self, is absolutely your perfect soul purpose. Okay. So this process is all about coming into the most authentic version of yourself. It's all based on self-love. And that's how you create soul-aligned abundance in your life. Because if we're not aligned with our soul, how are we going to create soul-aligned abundance? So this is something one of my coaches says. He says, when the soul says yes, the ego has a habit of butting in to say, yeah, but, and it's funny how it does this, because I've known, people that are, for example, what are the excuses we say when we see a big thing that, is going to change our life, and our soul's going, yeah, but the ego's coming in, it's like, oh my God, that's not safe. What are people going to think if you become this amazing, version of yourself that's just so perfect? What if your family doesn't love you anymore? What if, oh my God, how much is it going to cost you? The ego's always, the ego won't see the value of something, but they will see the cost of it. That's why you have, for example, like, it blew my mind. I was watching this documentary about women getting butt lifts, right? And for some reason, like, millions of women are convinced that if they have this butt lift, it's going to somehow make their life better. It doesn't quite make sense to me, because they look awful as far as I'm concerned. But this is what so many people genuinely believe, that they need to have these butt lifts in order to do well in life, and I was this documentary, it was talking about these women that were waitresses, literally waitresses. And it can be like $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. Like 5,000 is a dodgy one that can kill you. And one of the women actually died from the butt lift, you know. But to the ego, it's like that's a material thing, and everyone on Instagram's getting it, so it makes sense why you should get it. But the ego would probably say to those women, you know, if they talked about going and getting therapy about their body dysmorphia or something, the ego would probably be like, oh my God, you know, don't do that. It's not safe because it's not so material and tangible. And this is also very much about, and I'm going to go into this in a minute, how the magic of the world, because the world is full of magic, but most people don't see it and they don't experience it because we're educated just to think from this logical brain instead of from the body, and the body is what feels the magic. So your ego will stop you from becoming the authentic version of you. Obviously it will, you know. But when we think about it, interestingly enough, you know, there's all these different aspects and versions of ourselves inside of us, which is completely fine. You know, we have the inner child. Everyone knows there's inner teenagers, inner babies, you know, inner granddads, inner all kinds of different characters. It's like self-awareness. And this is why when we do work, it's so beneficial for us, because when we start getting self-awareness about these different aspects of ourselves and go, oh, is that ego? Is that inner child, inner tyrant? That's a really important one to know about, because we often think it's the inner child speaking, but it's actually the inner tyrant. And with the inner tyrant, we just need to cut it down. With the inner child, we need to give it love. So, it's okay to have an ego, but it's important to be aware what it is and how you can make sure that it is your soul that is in control. This is the key to creating the soul-aligned life that is your destiny. That destiny will never come from your cute little self-deprecating ego. Investing in yourself is scary, and your ego will try to sabotage this. But it's a major step towards taking true value of your authentic self and your journey. And truth is, you are the resource and the investment. And when you tidy your space, including your energy, things around you fall into place. And I'm sure you guys all know the benefit of having a tidy up around you in the house. I definitely do. We had one today. After Christmas, it was much needed. When we have an inner tidy up, and I'm going to show exactly how this works and how the alchemical system in the body works, and why it's important to clean our energy so that this alchemical system is working. And there's many people teaching these kind of vague ways to clear the energy. And of course, these can have some kind of benefits, but when you really understand the energy system and how to precisely get it all working properly, it's just so powerful. So I want to pause here for a moment and first of all check any questions. You're all welcome to stick the you can speak, you can type. Any questions? Just unmute and ask if you want, or Morris, hello. So I want to just, we were talking about these emotions, right, earlier, and I want to just, I'm just curious, right, you know, because I'm talking about this thing about like putting investment in ourselves, and can be, you know, we go for an acupuncture session, we go for like a, you know, we go for a retreat, we invest in coaching and so on. And I'm just curious, and I'd love to hear from everyone, like, no, you know what? Let's do the exercise first, right? And this is all about feeling. And I really want to invite you to feel with this at the moment, right? You know, so I was talking about these ladies who are getting these butt lifts, right? Okay. I don't know, maybe it's really, really important thing to have, but I don't understand why it's important. Yeah. But say like a really cheap butt lift, yeah, in a dodgy place is going to cost you like $5,000, right? And so I want you guys to just imagine this $5,000, okay? And maybe like just for a moment, imagine what it would be like to get this $5,000 and spend it on, I don't know what, lip fillers, you know, facial injections, breast enhancement, whatever you, something to make your body physically look, you know. And just let's pause for a moment and let's take, let's say like 7 deep breaths and just see, what would it feel like? What does your body say? So go into your body, not into your brain, and just, what's your body going to feel like with you spending this $5,000 on your physical appearance in some kind of a way? And I know I just suggested a few things that are artificial. We can also add in, what's it going to feel like if we go to a spa and we get really natural facials, and we spend our stuff on stuff all to do with the appearance, the physical appearance. And and you can just see which of those you're drawn towards. And what does it feel like to tune into those different energies, and not from the brain? So really don't be in your brain right now, just be in your body. Imagining whatever. And let's now change that amount to $10,000, right? So you're going for maybe a more upmarket butt lift, or you're going for an even more amazing spa experience where you're getting incredible facial massage and belly massage. It's going to rejuvenate you by 20 years, or give you amazing, strong erections till you're 90 years old. Whichever it is, let's just feel into this. And just whatever you imagine. Honestly, I know I don't get the butt lift thing, but maybe it's a really valuable thing to get. I totally am open to the fact I might not be correct on this one, but it just doesn't make sense to me. So, but if it makes sense to you, I honor that. And then when you're ready, just opening your eyes, coming back into the space. And now, seeing how does it, I was just imagining myself in this spa getting like a 10 grand facial massage. I don't know. So, okay, right. Let's now imagine something else. Let's take the $5,000, yeah, the price of a cheap butt lift, and let's now think about, how is it going to feel like to invest this five into your let's say your spiritual let's not say spiritual, I don't like that word in this context. Let's say into your self-development, so into becoming a better person. You imagine you're getting this five and you're putting it into you becoming somehow a better version of you. And it's interesting doing this with all you guys, actually, because I'm feeling the emotions really amplified, actually. Okay, let's increase it to 10,000. Now you're spending 10,000 into your self-development. And just notice like which parts of your body you might feel activations, or you might get feelings in. And one of my friends, she actually has this coaching package she sells for £44,000, which is 50,000 US dollars, right? And I wonder now, let's just go for a moment into like spending this 50,000. And I've never spent that much on myself on one coaching thing, and just see like, what is it, what comes up, yeah, when we talk about, when we feel into spending this like mega amount of money on the well-being. And one thing I'll say is, if we want to attract money into our life, we've got to honor money. We've got to respect money. And, you know, everything I'm talking about, these are lessons I've learned, because I grew up with this family that taught me, you know, money is bad and it's dirty. And, you know, when we see people with money and we're jealous of them, which I'm sure we're all been guilty of, or, you know, we see people with less money and we judge them, we are affecting our own ability to experience abundance, actually. Because on the quantum field, we are all one. And if we think of like these really rich people that everyone loves to hate, even Bill Gates and Elon Musk, and we just feel like, I'm the same as you, dude. There's no difference between us, you know. So that was really interesting to notice the different parts of my body actually where this stuff was like hitting. And I want to ask you to just jot down what you felt. And if anybody wants to turn on the mic and share what they just felt. I'm really curious. Because what I noticed was when I was going into the feeling of when I was, one of my friends I known since I was 7 just messaged me and she wants to join the meeting. That's so cool. Let me send her the link. Hopefully she'll jump in with us. That will be fun. Okay. Yeah. I mean, what I noticed was it was nice for me to think about, you know, we all have different ideas, right? What we want to do for the external appearance. And the external appearance is an important part of us, I believe, as well. Although I do also believe the inner beauty, it's like it shines out. And so it's quite important that what's going on inside, you know. And I think that something like having a juice detox might actually make us look better than having a, you know, I don't know, something maybe chemical put on our body or whatever. So, but what I wanted to say, I was personally imagining what for me, so you want a butt lift, Morris, as well. I heard Joe Rogan was talking about this, and he was saying most women would prefer to go and get a butt lift than do squats or something. Anyways, I don't remember what else he was saying, but I mean, what I noticed was I was imagining myself in this spa, and it was this nice buzzy feeling all around me, like this feel good feeling. Yeah. I was teasing Morris. Although some guys are getting them, yeah. But when I went to the coaching thing, and bear in mind, guys, I mean, I have spent like, I think the most expensive coaching I ever got was $15,000, so like £12,000 or something. But so I'm someone that probably has spent more than at least half of you on coaching and self-development. But yeah, so you're saying it doesn't work, but the thing is, it's about imagining. What if you said, I'm going to spend 5,000? It doesn't matter like that you haven't done it. It's like imagining, what if you met the woman of your dreams that's completely perfect? How is that going to create emotion? You know, it's the same thing. Like, how would you feel to go and invest like that? Yeah. Oh, Joachim, yeah, I love that. Yeah, no feelings on the butt lift, but when it came to invest in myself on coaching and self-development, I felt love horniness. I love that. Calm and harmony. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. And honestly, guys, I'm not gonna lie, I was imagining this $10,000 face massage, right? Yeah, which I'm sure it exists. And I was feeling a nice feeling, but when I came, do you know what? I got a feeling in my solar plexus. That was where I got the feeling when we were talking about the self-development stuff. And I felt it in my solar plexus, and it was excitement, but it was also a slightly scaredy feeling. as well. And when we think like excitement and fear, they're very like closely interlinked together. And when we feel fear about things, and this is what they kind of, there's normal healthy fear. There's also fear that inhibits us. And having like discernment over which of those we're talking about is pretty important. But and I think honestly, we should all be honest that there is a certain aspect that, if suddenly, like, if imagine back in the day when I was like a total mess, right? If I just took a pill and the next day I woke up and I was just the perfect aligned version of me, and someone gave me that pill the night before and it was free and everything, I would probably have been scared to take it. And some of the fears might have even been, oh my God, what if I lose all my friends because this change in me? And it's normal that we can feel fears about things. It just is normal. So anyways, that was a fun exercise, and I know some of you didn't comment, but I hope that you managed to like jot something down about what came up for you. Okay, because I want to work on some of the blockages over the next couple of days with all of you. Okay, so we did this already. Okay, abundance is spiritual, and I don't want to say what spiritual is, because a lot of ideas that get pushed on us about what is supposed to be spiritual, actually I don't like it. I think a lot of it's fake. I'm skeptical of the idea of spirituality on many levels that is pushed onto us, which tells us to repress ourselves, our emotions, and our goals, and that wealth is sort of any sort is selfish. So even, for example, if I have like the most amazing partnership with this lover who just showers love on me, like the more he hears my weird quirky sides, the more he thinks I'm amazing. He's absolutely sexy, great in bed, everything. There's people who actually feel like, literally me having that might impinge on other people having, I don't know what, or any kind of abundance. I mean, the funny thing, if you understand money, you will understand it's limitless, and that if you create more, you're actually creating more in the whole world as well. But we're taught that these things are all finite, even that love is finite. I gave him all this love and he never gave it back to me, that kind of thing. I've done that, I've said that, and it's all a delusion. If spirituality is telling us to be inauthentic and to be small, how genuine is this spirituality, right? According to Taoism, we are here to have the experience of the physical dimension and have that experience, not to bypass it into fake spirituality. So we are, I'll talk a bit more about this tomorrow, but we are spiritual beings. We come from the spirit dimension. We come into the physical realm, and we're here in the physical realm to have this experience with a physical body. And I'm going to explain to you today exactly how the alchemy of the body works, because that is our purpose here, that we want to perfect the alchemy within the body. And once we perfect that alchemy within the body, everything else around us starts to fall into place. So genuine spirituality understands your feelings take you to your desires, which then takes you to your destiny. So it's really, really important. When we get into our feelings in a place of balance and soul aligned, so these are our genuine feelings, not blocked emotions and traumas flying all over the place, those feelings will take us to our destiny. And even when we are in a big mess, like look at my story, what I told you, how I'd never had an orgasm. I was like, I want an orgasm, just one, please, universe, give it to me, and I went after it, and I wanted it, and I didn't care what I had to do, and I literally had to go to classes in other countries and everything to get it, but I got it. And that was what woke me up, to stop living in this place where I was constantly trying to heal myself, where I was actually like, yeah, I'm complete. So I think that when we start understanding like what it feels like when we get a calling in the soul, and that calling in the soul is really, really an important thing. It's major. It's really, really major. So abundance is magical. Woo, Christmas magic. Yeah, right. So it's deeply programmed into us that only the material matters. And that's what I was just talking about, like the example I was given of just, let's say, excessive, when people get so excessively obsessed with the external, which of course is easy to do that when we're looking at like Instagram, we're having all these images pushed on us about how we're supposed to be perfect, and no matter how perfect we are, you know, we're never going to be perfect enough. I mean, there was a Brazilian influencer who recently died that actually had liposuction on her knee, and when you look at her, she's just the most slim, and obviously you can see she's had, you know, work done on her, whatever, but she's literally died from feeling she needed to get this fat sucked out of her knee, which is just like, it's mind-blowing how people, it goes to such an extent when we're just looking at the physical, because it's never going to be enough. There's always going to be like this little bit that's imperfect, or this part of the face that's not right, or this bit of fat down here, or this discoloration here, or whatever it is. It's never going to be enough when we're looking at it from that level. But when we bring the magic in, and this is what I mean, that true beauty comes from within, you know, from physical health, from emotional health, from authenticity, this shines out into the world and it's magnetic. So it's a minority that really has the sophistication to understand the value of investing in ourselves as a person. You know, it blows my mind how many women on low wages spend thousands on butt lifts and other dangerous surgeries, yet would be frightened to invest into improving themselves. This is because we are told that magic is not real. Yet my clients report to me the same thing that I experienced, a big increase in abundance once they sort out their energy. So if you guys didn't see my Facebook post, I actually experienced as a teenager, I was literally went through time of being like homeless, had to stay sometimes in some homeless hostels, having like no money, like having to buy, in those days you could buy these cans of like ready-made spaghetti with tomato sauce. It was just horrific, yeah, for like 8p, and like buying things like that, and you know, just yeah, having like a really, really rough time, you know. And my life now is like very, very different from that. And I had a lot of trauma, I had a lot of very, very difficult stuff to deal with, and I could have stayed in that place, you know. And I'm only going to say I thank the universe for showing me, you know, in its crazy way that it showed me by making me go crazy wanting an orgasm, and start on this self-development path, you know, showing me that it didn't have to be like this for me. You know, like I went through experiences of like being domestically abused, you know, and actually what I described to you a minute ago about that is my partner now, you know, and he just showers love on me, and I don't need to hide anything, you know. And the more he finds out about, you know, come on, we all have our weird sides and crazy stories from when we were young. And when I'm telling him about this story of like, you know, how we used to run around to these empty buildings, like breaking into empty buildings as teenagers and climbing through these windows. And I'm like, got stuck in this window, like on the second floor, like not able to go through or back, with my friend who's actually here right now trying to, yeah, get me out and so on. He's like, oh, you're so amazing. And I'm just like, okay, it's just crazy story. But being just appreciated for who you are and getting this kind of like love and everything, it's just like literally the best thing. And I didn't believe, you know, because I had so much traumas from childhood, I didn't believe this stuff was like possible for me, but it's been gifted to me, you know. So I can only be grateful, because gratitude is a really important part as well of getting what we want and getting, you know, abundance when we're grateful for things. So yeah, my clients report to me the same thing that I experienced, a big increase in abundance once they sort out their energy. One man who sadly decided to wait till he had more money to work with me was later telling me he had got divorced. It was really, really expensive, but he didn't at the time understand the value to like invest in himself. In fact, it's not just one person this has happened to. This is a few people that didn't understand like how important it was to invest in ourselves, because we're just taught like this stuff is not important, you know. It's like we don't see the value in it because we don't see the value in ourselves. We don't see the value in our authenticity. Okay, yeah. And we can slog, yeah, really, really hard to create an amazing life, yeah. And trust me, I've done that, and I've exhausted myself, and I've brought myself, you know, to a point of like having like a sort of like burnout and everything. But the key to this is having flow and balance. along with working hard to get what we want. So when you bring your energy into balance and flow, you're literally coming to a win-win situation. The idea that if you win, you must lose something is rubbish if you work by this technique. So I used to think, oh, if the guy is, sexy or whatever, he's going to be a bad boy and he's going to mistreat you, or if he's going to treat you nice, he must be like, ugly and not good in bed or something like that. The reality is you can have it all, and I think that a lot of what we have going for both of us, it does come down to authenticity and just being ourselves and not having the time and energy to pretend to be anything else or anyone else anymore. So the first step here is to consider what is draining your energy to stop you from living the soul-aligned, juicy, and abundant life you desire. In the quantum field, that life already exists. It's just that we are programmed to get in the way of the magic of this unfolding and to not believe in it, to not believe we deserve it. This was a huge block for me, not believing in myself, not believing I deserved things. When we go into the space of the logical brain, which is a part of ourselves we sometimes need, but when we are allowing the magic to be killed, when we're just up here in the logical brain, you need to make space for the magic and you need to believe in it in order to experience it. So I want to talk for a minute about lack mentality, because this was something I was programmed with. This is so many of us are programmed with. One guy I'm working with at the moment, who's part of my group program, he's doing his own business and he was having this real problem with this lack mentality. And I could see him doing exactly what I'd done. And even people can explain it to you, but it can be hard to make sense of it until you know a way to, to transform it and put it into a context. And what he was doing was, it was either too much work, and so tired and so stressed, or not enough work and so stressed about money. And it's we get into this place where we're addicted to stress and we're always stressing out because we have this lack mentality, right? And lack mentality is literally a parasite that lives in our brain, and it's a sickness of the soul. Shaming around success is a huge blockage to our soul-aligned abundance that gets in the way of our destiny. So my friend is here visiting me. We've known each other half our lives, and we were talking about how some of these people we used to know in the past, and it's they hated seeing other people doing well. They always wanted to drag you back. Whatever you were doing, it wasn't good enough. They were literally attacking you, speaking badly about you, because they just didn't like to see people, doing well. And this is really, really, really toxic when people are like this. And it's something that, in my opinion, it's something that we need to get away from, and also we need to find where we have it within ourselves and take it out of ourselves, so we're not attracting this into our life around us. I had to stop speaking to my parents for a few years because they had it. And when we started speaking again, now they respect me because I'd created the correct boundaries around myself, and I think there's this whole thing of, it's all well and good to want to, have an equal society, it's all well and good to, want to share things, give things away. I'm all into this, I truly am. Yeah. But at the same time, it's very easy for that to kind of slip over into being oh, this person is rich and therefore they're bad. Well, when we have that belief, we are never going to do well within ourselves, and if you guys have not yet seen my master classes about this, about abundance, definitely message me so I can send it to you, because it's a really when we start actually looking at these programs put into us about money, I've got 2 other classes about it, and we start shifting that. It's just so powerful. So in reality, if you are set here with your destiny to fulfill, there's no way that the universe will allow something like a lack of money to get into your way. And I believe we all come here with a destiny, and it's the destiny, it is tied in with the creation, what we create in the physical realm. So think how many people in the world came here with a destiny to open a beautiful restaurant where they're cooking their own food, and it's all soul-aligned food coming from their soul. And the fact that those people have been taught to stay small. Yeah. And what do we have everywhere? McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, all these crappy restaurants and horrible businesses that, of course, you know, are given a bad reputation, and then everyone's like, oh, look at all the rich people, they're all bad. But it's not the rich people are bad. It's also we, you know, when we are not stepping into our power and creating what it is our destiny to create, we are also being part of the problem as well. The universe does, however, use money and material things to allow us to grow and to develop our beliefs in ourselves and our powers to manifest. So I mentioned to you, I did spend like $15,000 on this course one time. And I remember I saw the course and I was like, I want that course. I did not even have like $5,000 in my bank account. And I was like, I want it. And it is that I want it, and I don't care what's getting in the way. You know, obviously I'm not going to like rob someone or do something illegal or harmful to another person. I was like, I want that money. So I spoke to the woman. She goes, okay, pay me 5,000 at the beginning of now, in a month, in another month. Okay. All right. Hey, 2 days later, the first 5,000 was in my account, and it was there every time. And I could have sat there and gone in my head and let my ego take over and stressed and gone, oh, you know, what if I lose my house and blah, 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 because of this course? And no, because the universe wanted me to do the course, you know. It was a real experience for me, just the fact that I was like, I manifested that. And as I mentioned to you guys before, you know, I had this experience of basically like homelessness as a teenager. And I didn't realize how much it had traumatized me until I got to a certain place with creating my own business, where suddenly I started having this panic, like, oh my God, I'm going to end up homeless. I'm going to end up starving. I'm going to, you know, and all these things were coming in my head, which was the trauma coming up again, which I think we all can have to some extent. I really had to go in and heal that in order to like basically get the next step in what in a sense is still a healing journey for me. So none of this exists in a vacuum. There's people who say they want to sit on a sofa and they want 5,000 or 10,000 or $20,000 to land on their lap next to them. I do think we need to give the universe a vehicle, you know, and the universe is allowing us to manifest by getting us to develop ourselves, almost like rewarding ourselves, you know. When we let egoic fear get in the way of our destiny, we will not manifest anything. And this is something I've done, you know, I'm sure we've all done this. So we need to rise to move above and beyond and have faith in ourselves, belief in ourselves, and believe that we are these divine beings and divine entities, and that the universe is here to meet us halfway, 50-50, you know. And when I look back at my life here, which I've just been doing the last couple of days, and I see like the situations I've been in before, where I am right now, and I think, yeah, I know that I put a lot of work in to get to where I am now, yet there's no way I can say I did it on my own. And sure, people have come into my life and helped me, but the universe has been providing me the solutions, the answers, and many times I've just pushed them away because I was just in such a state of ignorance I couldn't even see what they were. You know, this is also, for me, it was just really affirming to me the fact that, yes, this is all magic, and this is all about me and my relationship with myself, and things fall into place around that once I fix this all up. And the more I fix it up, the more things fall into place. So when you rise, you raise the rest of the world with you. Abundance is infinite, and by creating it, you help everyone in the world. So we really, really need to get over these feelings. It's normal feelings. You know, I remember when I was this, like, you know, semi-homeless teenager, one of my friends inherited like £1 million, which was like a lot of money in those days. You can imagine how much like trauma this brought up for me. She's literally messaged me today. She's still my friend now, you know, and I was like jealous and everything. It's just normal that we feel this, and it's fine we feel that, but we get over it by addressing it and moving beyond it, not by, you know, just trying to make excuses for it, I suppose. And moving on and beyond healing, because our healing journey is really important. It's something that we can really get caught up in, and this can be for better and for worse. What I mean is that unless we move beyond healing, we will never actually heal, because we are staying as these wounded beings. This is about taking a radical sense of self-responsibility and stepping into our power. It's about moving beyond the way that we were programmed, which is traumatized. And this can be from someone having a very privileged upbringing, is still traumatized, It's about stepping back into our original programming of juicy abundance. So this is the place where you can start to enjoy life and all that is your destiny to experience, because this is what will give you satisfaction. And actually, my business coach, he used to work with, I don't know if he was a hypnotherapist or something like that. He used to work with people with addictions and mental health problems. And he actually figured out the best way to help them to heal was helping them to like create their own business, basically. So moving on and beyond healing into a place where you're actually being able to become yourself. Which is an important, it's kind of like we go through this, we're in this place where we're just totally messed up and traumatized, right? Then suddenly we're awakened. None of this is my fault. It's the government's fault. It's the church's fault. It's my parents' fault. I'm the victim. And that is an important waking up to realize, hey, it's not my fault. It's cool, yeah. But then we need to come to the next stage where, but it is my responsibility, because if we don't, we are very, very stuck. So let's have a look at some energy drains. And I want you guys to jot down now a list of 5 things that are draining your energy. So these can include any thoughts, any feelings, insecurities that take up your time. It often includes things we tell ourselves don't affect the rest of our lives, like when things sexually aren't going right. Yeah. So I never thought not having orgasms was an energy drain, but it was a massive energy drain. It can be being angry about something and thoughts and go round and round and round, so-and-so did something, this is just for you, just for your own records. You don't need to share these unless you feel like it. And the things we keep secret, we think we hide, and we think they don't exist because we're hiding them. But these are often, if we're honest with ourselves, playing out in other parts of our lives. The most insidious are those things we try so hard to convince ourselves aren't there. Things we can only really accept when we accept the fact that for our entire life, we are programmed to lie to ourselves and to keep ourselves small. But facing this is key to our greatness. So I want you to just have a little think and just jot down some of those, what's coming up there. Okay. And I want to just play this to you while we're talking, because I know I'm telling you about what I experienced. I'm telling you what my clients experienced. Okay, I just want you to check out, this is just a 2-minute video of something like one of my clients is saying.
Orgasmic Toolkit back in June, I think it was now. And the practices that Jay teaches you really, really bring a massive change in your energy, in how you feel, your vitality. It's been an incredible journey. I went from being someone, I wasn't previously like this, but I went from having severe anxiety to the point I didn't even want to leave my own home, to going out back like I used to on my own. I do a lot of photography, and for about 6 months, I didn't even leave the house with the camera, which is something that I would do on a daily, weekly basis in my normal life. I have a day job that takes its toll on me. That was about the only reason I was sort of leaving the house and my family. Since doing the inner smile every day and the other practices, I can really feel a massive energy shift in my life. And I suppose my dream is to work with my camera as a full-time job. And my creativity is massive now. It's on fire. And the only problem I have now is the time to go and do it. It's not the drive to get out and do it. The drive's there, which is a better problem to have than not wanting to leave the house. And also, the sales on my Facebook page they've gone from virtually zero to I'm getting a good few orders each month. And now I'm offering photography shoots to people. And there's a huge shift in the abundance in my life. And I put it down to the fact of all the Tao practices that have helped me change the way I am and grow my self-love for me have really helped in my daily life, with my family, and also with my business. It's been a massive change for me, and I'm really grateful to have been on this journey. And I shall continue the practices, and I've got so much from it. And I really appreciate all the hard work Jay put into putting the course together.
Yeah, so what I thought was so interesting about that is he's really talking more about he's talking about the energy drains and how he eliminate those energy drains literally in a matter of weeks, and found the abundance in his life, like a huge change. And it's actually not surprising, because when we think, duh, if something's draining our energy, it's stopping us from being creative, it's stopping us from manifesting into our lives. Of course, it makes sense, but it's not what we've been taught to think, you know? So, okay, it's a little past 8 now. I'm called to go on a few more minutes. Are you interested to hear a little bit more today? Tomorrow, we're going to look specifically at how to address those energy drains and get them out. But what I wanted to do was give you a little introduction to what is the sexual energy thing all about. Do you want to know a bit what's the sexual energy thing all about? Give me a 4 in the chat if you want to know. 4. If you want to know a bit about, I'm just going to introduce you sexual energy, and we're going to go into this on more on Friday. Great. Okay, because you guys hear me going on about orgasms, and sometimes people are like, Jade, why is all the orgasms? Let me just explain to you what this is all about, okay? Because, okay, I'm just going to, sorry, I thought I'd got to the end of this bit about energy drains. I think there might be 1 or 2 more slides. Okay. It is obvious how these things drain our energy, but even years of conventional therapy often don't budge them. There are very rapid ways to release them if we learn to go into the energy field and clear them, which is different from going into the brain, okay? Tomorrow, we will go into more details of the techniques to clear the energy field, but it's this simple. Wherever your attention goes, the energy flows. You can use your intention to direct energy, cultivate it, move it, transform it, unblock it, store it, and so on. And I just want to say really clearly here, no emotions are actually bad. We just need to have all in a state of flow and balance, and then we can accept everything that is part of us and live our authentic lives. Because when people talk about self-love and then they say like, oh, but being angry is so bad. Anger is part of us. If you don't love your anger, you don't really love yourself. You know, we need these different parts of ourselves. They're so important. And oh yeah, okay, I just put these here. Let me just read it. So this was one gentleman, right? After years of repressing my feelings and venting them with massive effort, I finally was able to cry after 3 years. I always searched in the internet about emotions and how to release them, but I was never able to do, even with long exercises. You know, and I think it's good to find out information on the internet, but for most of us to like actually get really results, it's much more helpful to have someone that's able to guide us through the journey. So this week totally changed his life. He's only on week 2 at that moment. All he's done is clear a little bit of the energy drains, okay? A little bit of blockage clearing, not even like all of it, yeah? Finally, I have no sexual pressure anymore, and I can accept the feelings of sexual energy, so I don't have to ejaculate or watch porn to slow me down. So he had like a 20-year porn habit. I never told him to stop watching porn. It was gone like that, you know? Now I can use the energy to go forward in life without being a victim of my own craving. And when we have sexual problems, or sexual discomfort or something not going right sexually, it is a big part of it is emotional. You know, it's showing what's going on in the emotional world. So, you know, many guys will repress their emotions and then they can't last in bed. There's other ways to deal with it. And then I wanted to show you this other one here. So hi, Jade, I wanted to take a second to share some good news. It's been 3 days since our little chat. So he came to one of these events. He booked a free 10-minute consultation with me. I've done the meditations in your masterclass you shared. So I gave him a masterclass with some meditations about abundance. Yesterday, I got a call from a long shot job and was offered a minimum salary of 60K per year. I took the initiative and asked to negotiate a higher salary, something I have never done. They said they would call back later that day. They didn't. So today I decided to take another risk after listening to the replay of your live on abundance. I called them up and they made me an offer of 62K a year. This is going to be the most amount of money I have ever made at any job in my entire life. It will solve all of my money troubles that I'm currently facing, get me out of debt, and help me towards my dream of owning my own home and tree farm later in life. Bonus is I get to help homeless people struggling with addictions. Thank you so much, Jade, for taking a chance on me and sharing your work. Looking forward to enrolling in your autumn group. So this guy is now one of my clients. And actually, interestingly enough, he started the job and within 3 months got another $7,000. So he's almost on 70 grand now, and he absolutely loves the job as well. So it's interesting. And if you guys have not, I want to just make sure, if you have not yet had a free 10-minute chat with me, let me just give you, because there should be a link to book it. And if you've not had the free chat, or you want another masterclass, send me a message on WhatsApp. I'm just putting my number here. It's a UK number. 07738062152. I know some of you guys I haven't yet connected with. Some, maybe half of you I have already, but if you haven't yet, send me a message whether you want to know about more about my work, whether you want to have some more free resources, whether you want to have this free 10-minute consultation. You can just let me know which one you're interested in. So okay, yay. Okay, we got to the sex part. Woohoo! That's what everyone's been waiting for, right? Master Chia says we Westerners are sex obsessed, but we don't know what to do with the sexual energy, and that's why he's been teaching us, because it's causing us to make a major mess up of the world, that we don't know what to do with our sexual energy, but we're so sex obsessed. So most Westerners think of orgasm as an ejaculation or the results of clitoral stimulation, a one-off, which is a release and then it's finished. Many ancient cultures did not see it this way. They saw orgasm as an energy that should be preserved, and so they dealt with it very differently than how we do today. Okay, let's look at sexual energy transmutation, because this is really, really key to all of this. And if you do not know what is sexual energy transmutation, can you give me a 3 in the chat right now? You know what it is, Angelina. You've heard me talk about it before. Okay, transmutation is transformation. The idea is you're transforming. You could say lust into love, but it's more than that. And I'm going to be talking a lot about this on Friday. Okay, the first step of transmutation is to become chi energy, giving you vitality and aliveness. So it's taking the horny feeling and transforming it into chi, which means vitality and aliveness. So next, the energy travels into your cells and starts to rejuvenate your body on a cellular level, curing health conditions and reversing aging. Okay, why is this not happening in most people? Because we are taught and programmed to block our sexual energy off around the pubic bone, and it keeps the sexual energy just blocked. Yeah. So it doesn't rise up the body. And this is where we get sexual problems, sexual frustration, sexual urges, sexual feelings we don't like. This is all caused by the blockage. Anything sexual we feel we don't like is actually caused by this blockage. Now, with all this extra energy and inspiration, creativity goes through the roof. When people are practicing this, it's phenomenal. Increased mental clarity and activation of your inner vision, because the sexual energy actually rises up through the body. It goes actually through the liver and into our eyes and activates our inner vision, which is what happened to me when I had this sexual awakening that I didn't even know and expect was going to happen. And sexual energy will amplify whatever you got going on. So orgasmic energy, the amplifier. I'm sure you have seen two people fall madly in love and then everything goes south. They descend into something that looks pretty toxic. This happens because sexual energy is an amplifier. When you repress your sexual energy, you seem like you can stay nice and safe and unimposing. So people talk about, you know, how you have these nice guys and the women don't want the nice guy. They're all after the bad boys here, but women want nice guys. Okay. But we want guys that are in touch with their sexual energy. So when these guys are just repressing their sexual energy to be nice people because that's what they've been taught to do and that's what they think is the only way to do, what happens is there's nothing there to attract people. There's no magnetism. Okay, so it seems like, okay, you can feel safe in a world where there's all these kind of toxic expressions of sexual energy going around. Okay, why not? Yeah, because you're robbing yourself of your most powerful life force, which include, you need that to create love and to create magnetism and to create connection in a relationship, a sexual relationship, and also non-sexual relationships as well. So once you start to connect with it, you will start to amplify what is going on inside you. And this is why there's a lot of people that have found mantic chia exercises in books, tried to do them and had all kinds of disastrous, awful things happening in their lives because they went to the exercise, which they should be doing like months in as a first off without finding a teacher. And they've amplified all this stuff that, you know, when it was in its unamplified form, they could kind of cope with it. But without it being amplified, but once it's amplified, it was too much, you know, and it can cause physical problems, mental problems. It's really important, like I said at the beginning, to do these exercises in the correct way, in the correct order, because they're extremely powerful. So it's amazing because it shines a light on where we need to heal. But considering we come from this society and this culture where we've been taught to like repress everything we feel and repress our emotions and so on, well, all this stuff starts coming up, we don't know how to deal with it, and it can cause a big problem. So one of the magics of sexual healing, this is one of the magics of sexual healing, but it means that if you don't have the tools to consciously work with emotional energies, and these are essential for deep sexual pleasure, then you can cause a lot of problems. And this is all what we're going into tomorrow on day 2. So, okay, let's have a look at like, how does this work? Okay, there are these, you can see these 3 balls, yeah, which we can call a dantian, yeah. So you see in the next diagram, this is in your belly, this is in your heart, this is in your 3rd eye. So the 3 dantians are the main transformation centers. When the sexual energy is first raised into the lower dantian, it transforms into chi and vitality. In the heart, it transforms into shen, which is like love. And finally, in the upper dantian, it becomes original Tao, enlightenment energy. So ultimately, when I'm talking about this alchemical system, which is this, you know, this is what we, this is what we want. We have these 3 energy centers. We want the energy coming up and transforming through those centers. So we say primordial cells, or the belly, or the lower dantian, the heart, the higher heart, and the pineal gland. So the natural path of the sexual energy takes us through the journey from health to love, to creativity, to vision and enlightenment, all on its own. So it's the most powerful spiritual energy that we actually have. And everything is spiritual if we make it spiritual. Or if we make it not spiritual, it's not going to be like, we can decide, okay, we're going to treat sex like a dirty, yucky thing. And then it's going to lose its spirituality. We can decide we want to treat, treat anything, love, money, possessions, career, job. If we treat it like yuck, it's going to be yuck. If we treat it like with sacredness, like I'm sure you guys know and have experienced, if you treat your partner like a sacred divine being, and they treat you the same way, how different it is. And if you take each other for granted and treat them as objects. So it's naturally programmed into us to activate, to us to love, to health, to spirituality through sexual arousal. This energy has the beautiful ability to activate us to every part of our potential. So why is it not happening around us in the world today? Okay. And now I start talking, okay, the programming. Okay. And it's the programming, we're programmed not to experience love and sex in harmony. And this is where all the problems coming, So the natural original programming, we can see people running around in tribes naked with no idea that, you know, it's dirty to show the body or have sex the way we think. Okay. These people are in their natural programming because it's just natural to be naked. But truth is that all of us who are educated, civilized, indoctrinated, disciplined, programmed, we start running on someone else's program. We start running on society's program. The dominant programs in our culture believe that human beings are inherently flawed. We need to be controlled and disciplined, or we become evil. Huge parts of ourselves are rejected simply because we don't understand them anymore. And it then becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So your original programming, and we're going to be looking at this tomorrow. So we all have the ability to return back to your original programming in flow with the web of life. You've been taught that sexual energy is dangerous, harmful, perverted, and so on. And so it becomes that. The program goes over centuries and it's embedded itself into your DNA. And it's interesting how religion taught people that, you know, sex is this dirty thing, and they separated it from love. And, you know, it was like a necessary evil within a marriage that, you know, wasn't about enjoyment. And today, when you have sexual liberation, what do you have? Porn. And porn is saying, oh, it's all about sex, it's not about the love, and this is sexual liberation. And, you know, on the one hand, this sexual energy is like kind of this dirty thing you should be ashamed of and hiding. But then, you know, you have porn and you have your needs and you need to ejaculate, and you should be ejaculating every day or you're going to get prostate cancer. And it's like all this stuff that we're told, and it just makes sex like, ew, yuck. Yeah. You know, it's not juicy. It's like it's taking the juiciness away from it. And when people are trying to get back in touch with their sexual energies, understandably, but it's like a faint miss to most of us. So, you know, you see, like, you go on some so-called sex positive Instagram account, and it's talking about, oh, men don't know how to find clitorises, and that's the whole problem with human sexuality today. You know, it's like, well, I don't think men don't know how to find clitorises, and I don't think that's the main problem anyways, but it's because people don't understand it. So they, you know, they're clasping at straws basically. So everything we've been taught teaches us to believe that what is our original truth is a lie. And this goes to sexuality, this goes to abundance, this goes to love, because love is really being sacrificed on the altar of sexual liberation these days. This even goes for however we experience it authentically, masculinity and femininity. These are spiritual energies as well that we're so disconnected from. We don't know what they are. And then someone's saying, oh, feminine should be this, this, and this, and masculine should be this. And most of it is rubbish, because, I mean, it's interesting because one of my dogs just gave birth 2 weeks ago, and she's this like little crazy Jack Russell that's normally just running around really like insanely. And suddenly the dogs are there, and she's like acting like this perfect little mother, all like taking care of them, around them, you know. And when I first went over, and I go over to her, and she just looks at me, she's like, like that at me. And I'm like, yeah, that's being feminine, actually, you know. And then another little dog, a friend came around with another little dog, and she just attacked the dog. Yeah, like, you know, I mean, she wouldn't normally do that, but she's protecting her babies. And it's just like, yeah, actually, that's part of being feminine, you know, just like parts of being masculine are being very, very sweet and very, very loving and gentle. But we've been painted these distorted images of what this energy is all about. So, okay, this is going to be the last slide for today. So, and this is really going to be the focus of Friday, reclaiming our orgasmic truth. So after centuries of being taught to feel shame around sexuality, changing this belief can be more than changing the habit of a lifetime. These beliefs go deep into our DNA and have obstructed us from our original truth. I'm not sure that many people would be able to reconnect with the power of their orgasmic energy were it not for the ancient secrets that you'll be learning over the next days. Our ancestors may have foreseen the conundrum we would get into, so lost about the meaning of what our sexuality is for. And they've left behind a scientific formula that anyone with mindset can use to activate the power of their orgasms. And like I said earlier, this is really not about orgasm as we're taught on Netflix or Pornhub or whatever. It's a very different experience of orgasm. So I'd like to now just offer, if anybody has any questions, okay? And in fact, I'm going to respect your privacy. I'm going to say, Bye, guys, in Facebook. You got the link there if you want to join. Okay. Let's hit stop recording.